In this video, I'm going to show you how to use substitution method to solve some types of equations. So the basic idea is that if you see some parts of the equation repeating, in this example, square root of x plus 1 is repeating, as you can see. Then you can substitute that repeating part by some other variable. And if you do that, you can simplify the equation and you can solve it. So let's say we'll let u be that repeating part, square root of x plus 1. Then the equation becomes u squared minus 2 times u minus 8 equals 0. So now we have a nice and simple quadratic equation. So let's solve this equation. So 8 equals 4 times 2, and negative 8 is negative 4 times 2. And negative 4 plus 2 is also negative 2, the coefficient of u. So we can factor the left hand side as u minus 4 times u plus 2. So the solutions are the values of u making either the first factor 0, which is 4, or making the second factor 0, which is negative 2. Now these are the solutions for u, not the solutions for x. And we want the values of x, the solutions of the original equation. So what do we do? Well, we need to back substitute and replace this u by the original part we have replaced. So if you do that, we have square root of x plus 1 equals either 4 or the same expression equals negative 2. So let's solve these two equations one at a time. So let's solve the first equation. This is a simple radical equation. So let's isolate the radical. Subtract 1 from both sides. We have square root of x equals 3. And then take square of both sides. We have x equals 9. Now because this is a radical equation, we have to check the solution. So plug in 9. The left hand side is square root of 9 plus 1, which is 3 plus 1, which is 4. So the left hand side and the right hand side, they are equal to each other, and we can take it as a solution. The second equation is similar. If you subtract 1 from both sides, we have square root of x equals negative 3. And take square of both sides, we have x equals positive 9. But this is not a solution because if you plug this back into the equation, we get the left hand side 4, the right hand side negative 2. They are not equal to each other, so this is not a solution. Okay, let's look at another example. In this equation, I don't see anything repeating, right? But if you look very carefully, you can find it. Okay, let me show you where it is. You see x to the fourth is x squared squared. So the equation is x squared squared minus x squared minus 20 equals 0. And we can substitute u for x squared. So we have u squared minus u minus 20 equals 0. And 20 is 4 times 5. So we have 4 and 5. 4 times 5 is 20. But this is negative 20, so we have to put the negative sign either to 4 or 5. And the coefficient of u is negative 1. So we better have a negative 5 plus 4. So the solutions of this equation are the values of u making the first factor 0, which is negative 4, or the value of u making the second factor 0, which is 5. Now we replace this u back with x squared. We have x squared equals negative 4, or x squared equals 5. Now we can solve these equations for x by taking plus minus square root. So x is plus or minus square root of negative 4, which is also plus minus 2i. Square root of 4 equals 2, and square root of negative sign is I. The second equation is the same way. X is plus or minus square root of 5. So we've got 4 solutions.